1 second, please. I don't know why this filter was set. Okay, so once again, welcome everybody. We have about 85 persons here to mention that at some point this call might be maxed out because we usually have that whenever we have the general sessions like this. Once it's maxed out, what we try to do is we try to restream or push the stream to YouTube. So at any point in time, if you're kicked out, maybe your network glitches and then you go out of the call and then can't rejoin, you can continue on YouTube. We'll have somebody on YouTube also taking your questions at some point if you have any question. And also, if you intend to watch to look at we watch the onboarding session to also be live on YouTube. So if you visit our YouTube channel, you see that we even have the last cohort onboarding there and a couple of other resources that you could use. So, and again, before I proceed, I would say that if you're here, you're not following any of our social media handles, you might want to do that now. Subscribe to our YouTube channels and then follow all our other pages. But once again, welcome again to Dive Africa. This is Dive Africa, and this is our onboarding session. At Dive Africa, our common aim here is to empower the future workforce of Africa, because we believe that as the numbers are increasing in Africa, we need to be able to also try to upskill the numbers that are increasing in Africa for the future. So that's what we're trying to do here, and then I'll run us through. We'll just be having like a 30-minute session together or less, and then we'll be talking about Dive Africa, who we are, what we're trying to do, the team, the curriculum, and structures, the learning tool that you'll be using for Dive, how our entire classes are structured, the mentors you get to be meeting, how you do your assessments, the communities, our partners, and then it comes to one very important aspect to dwell more on. We don't take your questions. So an introduction. My name is Christopher Anyedi. I happen to be leading a couple of persons here at Dive. We're trying to see how we could give back and see how we could empower people. Basically, that's what we're trying to achieve. I know there are a few persons on the call that joined our last call with people right in Africa, about 1 billion plus currently in Africa and more. That's officially recorded, Most Africans don't give birth in the hospital, so we don't have the numbers, but officially recorded with them. So we're trying to provide a structured learning material. First of all, we're trying to take out the barrier of entry into tech, because that's one of our major focus. I mean, but we're also spreading our wings across entrepreneurship and other parts. But first, our entry point has already been tech, so we're trying to take out the focus, the barrier of entry, that provides structured learning, mentorship, and then hands-on experience. But you would agree with me that today you want to do tech, which is very important, but sometimes if you intend to pay, it becomes very expensive. If you decide not to pay, you now have to go through the bodies of unstructured learning, consuming multiple materials. And one of the things that we're trying to take out, we're trying to help you collect the materials. We're using seasoned professionals to do that, and that's what we're trying to do for Dive. And we have a vision to train about 15 young Africans for global relevance in the space of 5 years. I mean, that number has been too shaky, but we're still pushing, and then we believe that in 5 years we'll have been able to achieve that. And then how I want to do this is by bridging the talent gap by offering accessible, high quality and training programs designed to mentor young Africans with global, with relevant skills in technology, business and entrepreneurship. I think someone is raising their hand. I would appreciate you keep your question. If you have any, I'll take question at the end of this. But if you stop hearing me, you can just call my attention. I think that makes it easier, so I will not be talking ahead. And then at Dive, we are not just building talents. We are building a movement of innovative thinkers, problem solvers, future leaders that will drive Africa's transformation on a global stage. I would suggest that after this session, we could look at our last cohort, our demo day. You see what people are able to build, and I would say that some of them are even going to make it a startup. That I could mention a few of them. That you could just look them up on YouTube. Because we try to post all of our live session live on YouTube so that everybody gets to see both now and later. Right. So I think I think Adeyemi just shared a link, which is the link for the streaming on the chat box. You could share, you could use, you could share with your friends. Right. So yeah. And then about Dive Techstar, right? So Dive Techstar, it's a factorial part of the Dive Africa as a whole. And then Dive Techstar is where we try to do. It's where we build our tech trainings, right? For business and entrepreneurship trainings, it's a different umbrella itself, but Dive Techstar is the part that covers the technological trainings. So today, we're running training on multiple fronts. This is our collective cohort. At some point, we run a short track-based cohorts. But this is the collective cohort. And for this cohort, who should attend? Right? Although we are shooting off Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, but all of Africans could attend. As the last cohort, we had about 7 or 9 countries that were present in that squad. This squad, we have about over 15 countries. So it is all of Africa generally. Now, we know that there are Africans in Western world. I mean, they can also still attend because that's the privilege. But basically, we are trying to, it is majorly focused for Africans in Africa, but we are not restricted to Africans in other parts of the world, right? Just to help put Africa on the forefront. That's the base, that's been like I mentioned earlier. So our key focus area is product design, which is what you typically know as UI UX design, product management, project management. There are two different things you get to know later. And then data analysis, data science, mobile engineering, backend engineering, and then front-end engineering, right? And then so for each of our trainings, we have which is broken down in milestones. We have about for the first 7 weeks, it's intensive training. So this is where our trainings are structure-led, right? You get to interact with your instructors, you get to access resources. If you have questions, you have live session where you could ask the instructor and then you get explanations, you get assignments, you get tasks. It's always happening in 7 weeks. Now, after the end of the 7 weeks, we'll now pair you in teams. I'm going to explain how this is, but I think I'll still have to talk about it later, but let me just explain because we are here. We now have to pair you in teams. In those teams, for example, would have some set of people from product design, some set from product management, some set from project management, data analysis, data science, mobile engineering, backend engineering, and front-end engineering. You'll be paired together and be called a team, right? So on that team, you'll now be given a focus area or a sector to build a solution on, right? So in that, for example, you might be asked to build a solution on agriculture or on education or infrastructure, whatever, or on government, right? Now build a solution on that, and then that's what you now defend on the last week of the project, which is your project defense. So that's what our structure has always been, and that's what it will be for this current cohort. At the end of this cohort, we'll issue a certificate and a recommendation letter upon graduation, but we have criteria of graduation, which is what I'll talk about shortly, right? So, but once you're done, we issue certifications from Dive Africa itself, and then sometimes our partners line. Once they have access engagement with you, they would likely issue a certificate also. So you're most likely going to have more than one certificate, and then we would give you a recommendation letter upon request after graduation, and then placement. So we've partnered with different organizations. We partner with different organizations to try and to see how we could push everybody that graduates from Dive Africa to get a hands-on experience. So that's one of the advantages you have when you go through Dive Africa. So we try to see how we partner with some organizations, we send you there for internship, and then you have conversations with them, and then you're able to have the production level experience. So you're not just building, so you don't just learn and build with your fellow learners or your fellow colleagues in Dive Africa. Everybody just build a solution. Now you're part of a team building a solution in the real world, right? So that's what we try to do. That's the internship placements, and then except for that, those ones we now have another organization that we partner with, GetLink. We get to know about them later into the program. So GetLink has an intern talent pool where you take the assessment and you qualify for their internship pool. From there, it's also easier. So for everybody that couldn't get couldn't get an internship placement with our partner organizations, they also qualify for GetLink talent pool, from where you could interact with future professionals and then you're likely to get an internship placement from them. The entire idea is to see how we want to support you, not just in trainings, but also in providing um, an opportunity to put those trainings to practice from where you can build up your career. Right. So the benefit of the bootcamp, I already mentioned a few of them. We have access to mentors and industry experts, right? So from time to time, we have mentors that just drop by, have a session with you. This outside the regular learning period where you get to meet your instructor. Right? They'll just drop in from time to time, and then they'll have a session or two with you, and then you're able to work on real world project experience, which is what I mentioned earlier, right? So one of our aims each time we have a co-op like this, we aim that every student have at least 2 portfolio projects. Right? So we have what we call what do you call it now? We have what we call the capstone project. On the capstone project, you're given a project to work on.